Yeah. So the in the good old, I wouldn't say the good old days. In the assumption is always the institution becomes the arbiter of taste. So they more or less determine, justify, and validate certain kind of art, certain kind of aesthetics. They are the big controller, the imprimatur of the National Art Gallery. Their job means you have arrived. You are somebody, like you're somebody. Your art is worth something. Your art is located within this category, within this timeline.
Culturally validated lah.
Validated. Yeah. But now when the private collectors become the validators, and determine the aesthetics, and determine the direction, the depth and the breadth of the aesthetic, then you have a problem. Yeah. Then you have a problem because you cannot escape this you cannot escape from the collectors infusing their own value systems onto the aesthetics. Whether they collect art for dilettantism, just because they are dilettante, or they collect art because of for social snobbery. You cannot deny that can happen, and it will happen because when the collector infuse their personal values into determination, that's what happened. Which is, to me, that's Malaysia. Malaysia is okay because people think like that. I also was trying to figure out why it become like that. My own personal opinion is it became like that because as a country, we have become a country that we self-deny ourselves from criticism. Criticism, whether it's politics, whether it's science, whether it's technology, whether it's visual arts, whether it's theatre, we deny ourselves from serious criticism. Maybe we are scared. I don't know. Maybe we are fear. I mean, we well known, like even in the field of architecture, or engineering that I know, that I'm quite familiar with. I mean, there's hardly any pattern of significant engineering design other than from Nehemiah Engineering for the wall slope. There's Malaysian design. Hardly. We became the great consumer of technology. We just don't do anything. We don't invent. We don't create something. We don't produce something of our own internal ability. So we are great consumer. Because we are the great consumer, so we don't want criticism. It's natural not to be criticized. So criticism is not important for us. So if it's like this, if people say today, like when I attended art talks and whatnot, people use the quote people always say that art criticism in Malaysia died with Piadasa. When Reza Piadasa died, he just died. We went to the grave with him. So probably they're right. I mean.
So how to revive it? How will the revival be? Kita kena buat map ke benchmark and then.
No, the revival is a little bit of it. The role of it should be institutional. Institution themselves has to open up to criticism. That's the first thing. And then artists themselves have to open themselves up to criticism. The artist should not take. Well, criticism is personal nature to them because you're attacking them personally in their own ability to paint, to make installation, to draw and whatnot. So obviously they should feel a little bit of personal pain, but they should open themselves up. That's the only way to go forward. And then the other thing is that the artist should be open themselves to be written about. At the moment now, every catalogue that's writing, including my catalogue, my own gallery catalogue, we have 50% puji-pujian. We just praise our artists, and 20% pujaan up to the artist that we have to puja, we have to idolize the artist, and maybe about 10% of they could have done better a little bit. 10% of very mild criticism. So most art catalogues, including mine, including the one produced by Fergana, is basically full of sales sales teaching, like everything is nice. You know, this guy is the greatest thing in sliced bread. You know, you cannot find a better roti canai from this guy. This artist serves the best dish. So it ended up to be like that. So if one gallery does it, the next gallery do the same thing. So everybody do the same thing. So because of that, all writing in catalogs are basically re-paraphrasing the artist statement. It is not an independent view of the third party looking at it and produce. And that's one thing like writing. The artists have to open themselves up to be written. But far more important, if nobody writes about the artist in a critical manner, you know, after about 10, 15 years of practice, nobody will know the artist. It doesn't exist. First rule of journalism, if it's not written about, it doesn't exist. So this is what the artist must know. The artist must realize. People don't write about them. They're finished. You know, I mean, if you look at all my friends in the Mahatati group, how many of them actually have serious critique being written about them, being analysed about their work? Maybe one, at the most two. The rest will just disappear. If 20, 25 years time, they'll just remain as memory, you know, fondness, memory. But that's it. But it is not just the artist, it's the tradition of everything. Politics, for example, if you write a biography of a politician, the biography will always be almost like a hagiography, puji-pujian about the politician. Same. The ingredient is the same formula. Singer, actor, and whatnot, you know. So in such a way that if you want to look at Malaysian art today or Malaysian films today, Malaysian film, you look at P. Ramlee, that's all. You stop. You stop. And there are today directors, they cannot avoid but not talk about P. Ramlee. I mean, this is 2024, you know.
Makes you wonder. How come we just died there?
Yeah, makes you wonder. I mean, like 2024, I'm still producing co-editing a book about Ismail Zain. You know, he died in 1991. And then in that book, he's talking about all his old friends, you know. So I'm also guilty of the fact, why don't I spend thousands of dollars produce a book that's 300 pages of critical writing about my friend Ahmad Fuad Osman, for example, you know? Or why? But I don't know because maybe, I mean, with all due respect to Fuad Osman, maybe Ismail said something interesting, right? Something that's worth for me to reprint and re-paraphrase, translate into English and whatnot. Maybe. So we are kind of trapped. So this entrapment, self-entrapment by Malaysian artists, Malaysian creative personnel, creative worker, politicians and whatnot, administrators, it doesn't bode well for the age of artificial intelligence. Seriously, that's what I think. Which is why I think, you know, like people should actually focus on the creative education. Teach people to imagine.
So I think the first step is to look into the industry, to look into the success of this industry elsewhere, and make a decision where we want to go. Is it going to be a Malaysian narrative?
No, it has to be a Malaysian narrative, But I remember I read that's the thing about doing work for writing books for studying the writings of old artists. I had to start to, in order to do Ismail Zain's book, you know, I had to read the policy papers of Tun Razak. Culture and sports as a unification factor, as a cohesive agents. These are the two cohesive agents. And we did sports. Sports was quite successful at one time. I mean, still very successful. Culture never really got off the ground. Of course, we had a natural cultural policy, but they never really got off the ground. So it's not too late to go back to it. But over time, what is sad is I wouldn't sad is that artists, when they finish art school, You know, they might get first class honors from ITM or first class honors from MIA or MMU or all these art schools. They cannot walk out of campus and say, I now have a career. They cannot confidently say, I have a career. And why is that? I can now have a career, I can become a good artist, I can buy a property, I can mortgage the property to the bank, I can raise capital, I can go and buy 10 acres in the rural outside and build a studio. I cannot. They cannot have a career. So I'm not exactly sure what the answer is, but if the Madani government really want to actually enhance their position, maybe they should take a leaf from Roosevelt in 1920s, or even Deng Xiaoping, or Xi Jinping. Okay, Roosevelt is a bit more difficult to do. Like in the Depression, they gave jobs to all the artists. Out of all the artists, photographers and whatnot, they sent to the rural, to Iowa, to Ohio, take photographs. So you see all the big names in photography came up at that time. But more importantly, they gave money they gave a job to people like Diego Rivera to go and paint in murals at Chicago. They gave a job to Jackson Pollock and all his wife and all. But what turned out of that is abstract expressionism, right? So a movement of art that's definitive of America, and then modern art, modern jazz. Right? They gave jobs to all the black musicians and the country musicians and come out. So in fact, the two best cultural exports of the US is actually modern jazz and also abstract expressionism. And okay, then you look at Deng Xiaoping. He used culture really as a gerakan kebudayaan for soft power, right? So he created art villages in Beijing and art districts in Beijing and whatnot. But also, and then he forced the so-called GLC, the state-owned companies, to purchase art. So the artists have the ability to own a studio in exchange for the artwork, right? And they have a buyer, which is the government corporation. And then the artists have a livelihood, right? So they know they have a career. So today, Deng Xiaoping did that in 1978, 79. Today, if you graduated from the Beijing Art School of Art, Beijing Academy, you know you're going to be an artist, right? Because you know the likes of Ai Weiwei, who's a bit of a dissenter, but he still came from that art district school, and all the other artists are quite wealthy. They actually have a living, right? They can make a living, a decent living, more than a decent living, some of them, but they have a career. And I think this government has to do that, right? During the COVID...
Big risk, don't you think? Big risk for them, don't you think?
No, well, it's not a big risk because this kind of art district kind of thing, cultural villages where artists own studios and whatnot. What's the problem with the artists today? They don't own any asset. Their asset is actually a bunch of paintings and whatnot, canvases. But the Malaysian society does not respect if you own 100 canvases. Malaysian society respect if you own a house. And then the financial institution respect you. If you have a property, you have a house, you can mortgage. And then raise that money to go and buy more canvases. But if you don't have a house, you don't have any asset, the Malaysian financial institution do not accept artworks as collateral. Maybe only 3 or 4 artists in the country can be collateralized. So so which is why it's very important to write about the artists, because then there is a reference material for this young investment banker or young credit officer in a Maybank. Will say, oh, there are 10 articles about Latif Muhyiddin. Okay, maybe he's worth, he's worth a few $100,000. You look at the auction market, the price discovery, okay, he's $400,000. Okay, I give this guy a loan for $300,000. So there is some kind of valuation of it. But if you don't write about the artists, how do you know?
I was getting into that because one time when I was running Gallery Chandan, financing is difficult. They cannot find a way, and I was talking to My Creative Ventures. They were trying to figure out a way to finance art ventures, but you can't escape from the collateral type of financing. You can't escape. So you can't escape because the banks don't accept paintings as collateral. The insurance company don't want to insure a painting. So your collateral, your canvas of few $100,000 worth is for the financial industry is worth nothing. So this is the problem, kan?